Hey everyone, so if you're anything like me, when it comes to air guns, every 3 months, you're getting online, looking, Googling, or looking on GTA or wherever, and you're looking for new air guns, whether it's something different or something affordable. You know, before I spend my hard-earned money, I want to make sure that it's at least, it has value. I don't mind spending a lot if it's worth the value. But it seems today that so many air guns, PCP air guns, are really expensive. So I did a video recently talking about a beginner's guide to air guns, and I basically stated that, well, if you're gonna go budget, you know, maybe 300, 500, you're gonna be a little disappointed. You're gonna need to do some work on them. They're not bad. They're gonna have problems or issues that can be corrected, but it never comes right out of the box and it's good. So I said you would opt for something a little more expensive, mid-range or high-end. Well, today I have a gun in front of me right here that I think is the first sub $300 air gun that actually meets what I think, and this is my opinion, what I think is a great air gun, especially at sub $300. This air gun is unbelievable, in my opinion. I've only had it for 2 days. I've torn it apart. I've shot it. I'm here today at the range. I'm going to shoot it. I posted this on GTA that I got a hold of my gun. I took it apart, and I wasn't able to get to the regulator, but I was able to increase the power. This is the Nova Vista I think it's HP-900, HP-P900. This is the S. It also comes in walnut. No, not walnut, wood. Excuse me. I think it's just the beech. It's not at $330 for the wood one. That's not going to be walnut. That's going to be beech. So again, I opted for this, the synthetic version, and I have to tell you, so far in the 2 days, this is the third day. Now, I'm going to shoot it, so I don't want to say too much, but this gun has a, and I don't know if this is true, but everyone's saying this is a titanium air tube that's fillable to 300 bar or 4350. Yeah, 4350 PSI. It is a shrouded barrel. It's I believe this is a 22.5 inch or 23 inch barrel. In here is a hollow, it's hollow and empty at the tip, but it does have a screw-off cap and you can put some baffles in there, but so far it's very quiet. It is a side lever cocking. It can be decocked. Does have a safety right here on the edge. Not a Picatinny, no, it's a Weaver rail. The trigger is quite nice. You can adjust the hammer spring, and it is regulated. It has a regulator which, when I took this apart, it's quite easy to do. You can increase I've increased the power. So let me just tell you, right out of the box, this gun was shooting 18 grain JSBs, I believe those are called the heavies, at about 865 feet per second. That's pretty good right out of the box. You know, I'm gonna tell you, first gun sub 300 that I've pulled out of the box and said, wow, I really don't have to do much more to this gun. I'm okay with it like it is. But of course, being who I am, I can't help but try to get more power, you know, drilling out the ports. So if you're a tinkerer and you like to tune, this gun is very easy to do. I have not even drilled anything yet. I have not altered this gun in any way yet. But I was able to get this gun to shoot 18 grain pellets around 1,020 feet per second, and 25 grain pellets, I believe, are going about 850 or 40 feet per second. Those are the 25 Monster redesigned. That's pretty good. All I did was turn the and I believe it's right here in the front. You have to take it apart. I turned the regulator adjuster half a turn, and I shimmed the hammer spring about 1/10 of an inch. I used 2.05 shims. So if you're a tinkerer, this is an awesome gun. If you just want to use something right out of the box, this is an awesome gun. It also has a power adjuster. This adjusts the transfer port, so you don't save air, but it can, you know, bring down the power in case you're shooting in an area where you don't want to damage anything. So it has a little turn knob here, low or high, It does come with a shot tray, which I have in place right now. 2 Marauder style 10-shot in 22, 10-shot magazines. I mean, what more can I say? This gun is pretty nice. This is chintzy plastic, okay? If you have to say something that, now remember, I am not endorsed, paid, or sponsored by anyone, so I'm going to tell it to you like I would want it told to me. This is chintzy plastic. Now, when I opened the box and looked at it, I could tell right away that it was going to be hollow, but in thinking about it over the last 2 days, I've come to say it's okay. I kind of like it. It keeps it very lightweight, and it is quite sturdy. It's a 2-piece stock. It's split right here, but you do not have to split it. When you take it apart, there are 2 screws here and here, plus 2 screws here and here, that when you remove those, you're able to take the, excuse me, I'm losing, it's so cold, I'm losing my ability to speak. But once you undo those 4 screws and then remove this little swivel here, you can pretty much pull the action out. Now, one other great feature about this gun, it has a degasser right here on the bottom. So, I mean, not even the crawl, I love the crawl, and that's a $700 gun, $599, whatever. But after you do adjustments, it's always more. But that doesn't even have a degas. You have to kind of like shoot it down and then put it in a vise or something to degas. So you can degas it just by turning counterclockwise here with a flat screwdriver. It's awesome. It is really great. Now you can see I have here a 4-16 UTG Leapers, I guess they call it, yeah, SWAT 44 objective scope. But it comes with open sights that are actually really nice. Now I've already taken them off. There's a green in the front. No, there's a red in the front and a green in the back, and they are very easy to adjust. Let me show you what those look like. So this is the rear sight, which has 2 screws here and attaches to any Picatinny, so you could use it on another gun. It has your green fiber optic there, and the adjustment for height and windage, elevation and windage, are real easy with 2 screw knobs right here. It is awesome. This is the front sight, which has a red fiber optic, I guess you call it fiber optic or plastic, but it is really good. I'm telling you, if I didn't have a scope, and I was shooting this originally, and now if I was a little younger, my eyes were a little better, I would probably just stick to the open, to the sights like this. I wouldn't even use a scope. But because I like shooting 100+ yards, I opted for that. But this is not to be taken lightly. This is a great feature on this gun. And they come off, which is awesome. So if something happens to your scope, well, just put your open sights back on. It's great. So this gun also goes under the name of the Alpha, the HP-900 S or W, and the Liberty. So you might know it as any one of those if you're just going to search YouTube to see some reviews, and there's quite a bit of reviews out there already, and you can see other guys in South Africa shooting them. You know, this gun is very well made. It feels great in my hand, even though it has this chintzy hollow plastic. I still love this gun. Just to further expand on the notion of this being a sub $300 gun, and in my opinion being extremely well made for that price point, I even think this gun is well made for for a higher price point. Now you can see where I think the industry is going. We see things like $300, $400 compressors. Yeah, they're not as good as, you know, the Air Venturis or other high-end or higher-end or higher-priced compressors. It is true, but they do the job. This gun, in my opinion, is just as good as my Kral. Now we're going to see how it shoots, but as far as build quality and adjustability and features, this gun has it all, in my opinion, at this point. Now, the Gauntlet, the Umarex Gauntlet, that is the first, in my opinion, that was the first gun to kind of set the stage for the $300 PCP air gun. But again, this is just my opinion. If you bought the Gauntlet and you're happy and you love it, that is awesome. I'm glad for you. Me personally, I didn't like the shape. I didn't like that the front stock. I'm not a fan of the Ninja bottles. I know because I've used them over a long period of time, at least the last 2 or 3 years. I feel this is the first $300, sub $300 PCP air gun that really, I mean, it just looks great. I mean, okay, this little painted thing here, Nova Liberty, that's kind of, again, the stock is this is not a perfect gun, but so far it's got pretty much everything you want. And at this price point, it feels great. It's well balanced. The cocking lever is very, very, very smooth. It is even quite quiet. That's not bad. I mean, again, we don't have any baffles in here, but once I'm gonna figure out how to put some baffles in there. I think there's a few guys on GTA who have posted something about using a Crossman plastic baffle insert, so I'm gonna try that as well. By the way, check out GTA, Gateway to Air Guns. There's a lot, this is how I came to know about this gun. There's a lot of people on there that are very smart and very friendly, and they help you. It's a great place. If this is the first time you're you know, checking out air guns, go check out Gateway to Air Guns. Again, I'm not sponsored by anybody. It's a resource I use, and I think the more people that use it, the better it is for the entire airgun community. So check out Gateway to Air Guns. Now, what I want to do is give back, so that's why I'm making this video, and hopefully I'll expose any issues, or the good, the bad, and I'll tell it just like I observe it. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, and again, but I am excited about this gun. What I'm going to do is shoot this gun at 50 and I think 75, maybe I'll go to 100, just to see how it shoots. And I've increased the power. That's the only thing I've done to this gun. I have not, like I said, I've not touched the transfer port. So let's see what that looks like. Okay, so I'm gonna shoot exact jumbo heavy 18s. These are all, this is in 22. I'm gonna shoot the 21 Barracuda match, the 25 jumbo monster, 25.38. And last, the Eugen 28.5 green. Check this out. Let's start with the 18. I'm going to hand load each one. All right, here is the 18. 1018. Let's do another one. Again, this is the 18. 1023. All right, here is the Barracuda 21. That was a tight fit. 943. Let's do another one. $935. This is the 25 exact jumbo monster. $867. Shoot this 25. $872. See, I waited a little bit, I let it come back. Here is the Eugen, I don't know if you see that. This is a Eugen, no, is it focusing? I don't, anyway, this is a Eugen 28, it's a big one. $808. I don't know how many foot-pounds that is, but we'll calculate that. But that sounds like 40 some odd foot-pounds. One more time with the Eugen. $810. I saw the wind on that one. Okay, that's the first 5 shots. That wasn't too bad. That was the second group. So now I'm going to be shooting the Barracudas. These are the Barracuda Match H&N. These are the 5.52 head. I also have the 5.53 head. So this is a little bit less narrow, and the reason I'm using it is I read on GTA that this barrel is actually quite tight. So we're going to use the loose one. If that doesn't look good, then I'll use the tight one. Wow. Wow, that's 5 shots. I'm gonna do 5 up top. Wow. Wow. Now, the flyer there was me. You know, I'm cold, my fingers, no excuses, but wow. This gun, I can say, definitively likes the Barracudas, and I've heard that on the GTA forum. Thank you, guys. Wow. And there's a lot of wind today. 13 miles an hour today. That's pretty definitive to me. 50 yards, 5 shots. I'm gonna call that about a ½ an inch. So here we go with the Jumbo Monster Diablo redesigned. I think Pat at GTA, or I'm sorry if it's not Pat, but someone asked they'd like to see it. Here we go, 50 yards. Wow. Wow. That's pretty good too. You know what? I'm gonna go all 10. Wow. Wow. Unreal. You're seeing it. All right, so I'm gonna go down there, just briefly talk about those, and then we're gonna go out to 75 yards. All right, so let's recap. 18 grain, first group, not so good. This second group, a little better with 2 flyers. So I don't know about the 18 grain, maybe it's going too fast. Then we have H&Ns. I believe that was these 2. No, I'm confused. Yes, H&Ns, I'm sorry. These are the H&Ns, the 5.52. And here is the H&N 5.53. That is 1 inch or less than an inch. And here, with, you know, a little bit up and down, I'm not sure if that's the regulator, because it's not the wind. The wind would be side to side, up and down, I'm not sure. Maybe that's wind too. But this is pretty tight too. It's about an inch with this 1 flyer here. So far in conclusion, at least at 50 yards, 5.53 H&Ns are the best. The redesigned 25s, very, very good. The 5.52s, they're good too. The 18s can be good. Maybe I'm shooting them a little too fast. Maybe you have to power it down. All right, let's go out to 75 yards. 75 yards. H&N Barracuda 5.52, the smaller head. Wow, and I could see the breeze out there, you know, blowing the grass. 25.39 Jumbo Monster in 22 cal top set. Wow. Wow, that was the wind. All right, I didn't like that first. I don't know if it was the wind. I don't know if it was the regulator. It was up and down, left and right. It was all over the place. I'm gonna hand load the redesigned Jumbo Monsters one at a time. Bottom, middle. Woo! I see it doing some crazy stuff in the air. This is only 75 yards, so this is not too promising. Now I'm going to shoot the Nielsen slugs. These are, I have the 23 and I believe the 28 boat tail. So let's start with the 23. There we go. Wow. Okay, so that was pretty good on the Nielsen's, the 23. Now, here are the, I believe, 28 boat tail. Wow. 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 The boat tails are unbelievable. I'm fighting the wind. I pulled that one. Wow, insane. Wow, okay. The Nielsen's, this gun loves the Nielsen's. H&N's. The 25 redesign. I don't know what happened. You know, I really don't know what to say about that. It was windy. But look at the Nielsen's. You know, about an inch and a half. You know, 2 inches. We're at 75, very windy day. It's cold. I'm not the best shot. There's a lot. These could all be tighter. Everything could be tighter. But I think what I have to say is I love this gun now even more. I'm sure it's a 100-yard shooter. And I did clean the barrel. Okay. Not bad, not bad. Here's what we have at 50 yards. These are the 18 grain. Here we have 1.2 inches, and up at the top we have 2.2 inches. I don't know, could have been the wind. I'm not going to say it doesn't like them, but it could have been the wind. On the far end, we have the H&N 552. These are the smaller head. This is 0.7 5-shot group, and up here we have 1.2 5-shot group. Then what I have here, which looks even tighter than that, well, looks pretty similar, is the 553 H&N Barracuda match, and that's 0.7. Down here we have the 25 Monster, Jumbo Monster redesigned, and these are about 0.8. That's excluding this flyer on the bottom here that I'm pointing at. At 75 yards, we have the H&Ns right here at 1.3. I mean, this would be pretty tight. This would be about an inch with that one flyer right there. And then up here, that's a 5-shot group. Here's a 10-shot group, 1.7. I mean, there's a little bit of a flyer there. Remember, this was a windy day, so this is actually very good. Here we have the 25. This is just a mess. This is the JSB Jumbo Monster 25.4 grain. I mean, this is a 6-inch disc. We're talking almost 5 inches. Here it is, again, 4.5, 5 inches. I don't know what happened, but here are the results. Here are the Nielsen's. So on the bottom are the Nielsen 23, and then here are the boat tail on the top. These are the 28 Nielsen specialty ammo boat tail. So both at 1.8. They measured almost exact. So these are a 10-shot group. It's not that bad. It was cold, it was windy. This is 75 yards. I think the H&N and the Nielsen's are just fine. I don't know what to say about the redesign. I'm gonna have to try it again on a less windy day. But here's the results. The Nova Liberty is shrouded, but has no baffles inside here. So the barrel ends right here at the tape and has a threaded end cap, but there's nothing inside. It's completely hollow. So anyway, I was going to use the washers and spacers and kind of make my own little system. But over on GTA, again, Gateway to Airguns, go visit them, great stuff. Some smart guys there gave some advice to use this baffle system from the Crossman NP Trail. It's on Pyramid Air, and it's only about $7, $8, delivered $13. And I think it's Ray or Matt, or both of them, came up with this idea. What you have to do is to drill out, let's see, hopefully you can see that. So drill out this first ring, make it large enough, 7/16. I actually went a little bit larger so that it could fit over. I was having a problem getting it in. And then what you do is on the end, just put a piece of tape, an O-ring here, slide it in and screw it in the end. So you have your O-ring, you drill out the first one, and you have your piece of tape on the end, push it in, it fits nice and snug, and then just screw it in. I did something a little bit different. So what I did was, you'll notice that, let's see, I hope you can see that. This is completely smooth on the end. So that lip that kept it from going into the tube, where you put the tape on the edge here, I kind of made it all flush. So this tube is completely smooth the same way, so it fits. Here, I'll show you, this is the front, and that fits right in. That's the front end, that's going in backwards. I'm just showing you that the whole thing fits in. I drilled out 4 holes on one side, 4 holes on the other. That's a total of 8 holes, so that the air can go back into these 2 cavities. So what happens is, because the barrel is resting up against the second ring, the air has nowhere to go, so it's only going to fill these chambers. So these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 chambers. So what I have is, I want the air to go back into these other 2 chambers and back, because it's all hollow. The back here is completely hollow. Air can pass through the back of this and go back into the tube. There is some space here, even though there's a solid spacer back here. There's still some more air back here that you can allow the air to go back into. So when it's inside the tube with the cap on, okay, so it's sitting there. The barrel is right here, as you can see the tape. It's resting up against this second. You'll have the cap, all right? The cap will meet in there. The baffle system. This piece of tape shows you that the barrel will butt up against this second ring right here, and then you have some air, some space back here. So by having the holes drilled out, the air should be able to go back. Here it is, let's put it in. There you go. So you gotta jiggle, there you go. Oh, that fits nice. That goes all the way in. And It fits just right. That's it. I felt it snug up against it. That's not gonna move, you're not gonna have any shaking. So there it is. So I got back from the range a little earlier, and what I wanna do right now is two things. First, I just wanna review with you what happened at the range, and then I'm gonna tear the gun down. Now I'm gonna show you how to take apart the gun safely. We'll degas it and rip it down. First thing we're gonna do is degas the gun. That is this screw right here. Just give it a little crack. Let it degas. Degassed it, you turned it out. Just check in the front here. Yep, make sure it's pretty much empty. What you can do is just remove this completely. That'll let the rest. Now, there's nothing to worry about. This nut, you will not, there's no O-ring or anything to lose. So you can take this nut out, put it aside. Now what we'll do is remove this swivel stud right here. You can just use a wrench, turn it. Once it gets started, you can take it off by hand. And this is necessary to take off if you're gonna pull it out of the stock, because it's holding on to the barrel ring right here, or it's not a barrel ring, it's kind of a spacer. This is the barrel ring, and this is the spacer. Take that, put that aside. Oh, there are two screws, one here and one under this plastic piece. Now, if you have the wood stock version, it's gonna be different, but here, how I found that out, I saw this piece, and it looked strange to me that it had, you know, what is this? I don't get it. It looked like you have to remove this little black plug, and there must be a screw underneath there. That is true, but that is not the screw to remove the stock from the action or the barrel. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you first how to remove this plastic piece here. What I did was I used two X-Acto knives, and I kind of went in there. I wedged them in to the edge, and just, see that? It's lifting up. And there it is. Hopefully you see that on camera. And take it out. Now this is what I discovered. Very strange. It's just a plastic with a nut that goes nowhere. When I removed the stock from the action and I lined it up, this doesn't even go anywhere. It's just a loose nut. I don't know if this is my particular gun, but this serves no purpose except to be a plug. Now, inside of here is one of the two Allen screws. These are two 4mm. So let's start by removing this one here. This is the one. This is the one behind the trigger. Okay, that's one. The other one is in here, down here. Okay. Now one is short and one is long. The shorter one is in here, the longer one is on the back behind the trigger. Put those aside. Turn it on its side, expose two more. So this exposes two more screws here. These are 3mm. Turn it. Okay, there's the other one. Put those aside. Two. Okay, so now you can remove the action. Now this is plastic. It is split down the middle here, and you can see that the tube is kind of embedded in there. So when you pull, it sort of separates. Okay, so you can lift from. Now the reason we pulled out the bleed screw is so that we can easily remove the stock, the action, barrel, and tube all at once. Just lift up, and it comes right out. Okay. Really, again, this is just, it's two pieces. As you can see here, it kind of just comes apart and it clicks together. It's a little chintzy, but like I said, it's grown on me. It's okay. This is your plenum. This block here is like a transfer port. It also holds the brass valve adjuster for the regulator. The regulator is in here, in the action. okay? And the regulator or the adjuster is right here. That's that inside here. Let's see if you can see that. Inside here, there's a little brass circular disc with holes in it, and that's how you adjust the regulator. So let's take it apart. It's very, very simple. There is this piece here. This is sort of just a wedge, and this is your barrel band. Let's take those two off. These are 2mm. This one, just loosen it up. You don't have to take the nut out all the way, okay? Here's the barrel band on the side. Now it'll slide, and this will slide. Now what we'll do is we'll remove the 3 nuts on the top to remove the barrel. Again, you don't have to remove them all the way. Just back them out enough. And now what you should be able to do is just rotate gently and pull straight out. And it'll slide. If you want, you can. This is really machined well. You can remove the band. Okay, there's no reason to have that there because it's now resting on this spacer. And you can twist and turn gently. There we go. There are 2 O-rings in the back and a 3rd O-ring in the front here. What's left is the plenum, the tube, the block, and the action. You can just unscrew this piece, but be careful not to get any dirt, because in here is your regulator. Your regulator lies right in here. So I'm just showing you, this is the actual plenum that holds the regulated air, okay? So you can remove it. It has an O-ring on the top. Let's unscrew the tube. Comes right off. All right, leave that there. Very simple. There's just an O-ring on the bottom. I believe there is no regulator in here. This is just a tube for the air, so there's no need to take it apart. One thing I did notice is that the cap comes off here for easy access to the manometer. So if you want to, take it off and replace it, you can. Actually, really nice design. Next, you have the brass regulator adjuster. That goes to the tube, and this just counterclockwise. But remember, look how tight it is. One thing to note is that it's butt up against, this block is butt up against the receiver, and that's important because there's an O-ring in there. So let's turn counterclockwise. There you go. Just crack it. Turn. And what's revealed is your regulator block, okay, with the adjuster, a burst disc, and the bleed, the bleed valve, which we removed earlier. That just goes in here, okay? And the bleed is an excellent feature. Now, you'll note, let's see, you can't see that. You'll note that I have made a mark because I adjusted it, and I used a Sharpie just so I would know where to put it back later. So that when the Sharpie mark is on the bottom, it means it's back. I turned it a half turn in order to gain some power, counterclockwise. So inside of here, and it's probably hard for you to see, is a white piece of Delrin, and that is controlled by turning counterclockwise. If you want to pull the Delrin back, you'll spin this brass nut back. And what that will do is create more space between this tip here. So what you're seeing, this tip here is where the air goes in through the regulator into the plenum, okay, which is down here. So let me put it all back together. Here we go. So what happens is, so this piece of Delrin that's way back in here, let's see, maybe you can see better, way back in here, okay, see in that little hole right there? That rests up against here. So when you back out the brass Delrin ring, you're creating a larger space. There's a spring inside of here that when the air fills up in the plenum, it pushes that brass piece forward to rest against this Delron ring or piece of, you know, air stopper, and it closes the air. So now I am not able to remove this regulator that goes inside there. Now what I can see, and why I know this is not a Belleville disc regulator, is because if you look in the hole below the plenum, I'm going to try to turn it, there's an actual spring that you can see, okay? That tells me that that's not the spring for that. The hammer spring is back here, okay? That's inside of here, and I'll show you how to access that. But this spring in here is for the regulator. Now this regulator has to be very precise, so it makes sense that you cannot unscrew it very easily. I'm not sure how if it's pressed or screwed in. Maybe someone else who's smarter than I am can figure out how that all is put in there. I see a grub screw on the bottom. I did unloosen this grub screw down here, but it did not free up the regulator. So maybe someone else can figure that out. But again, that's as far as how I understand this works. If someone else can figure out something, maybe I'm wrong with this and they've got a better way, please let me know. Now to get to the hammer spring so you can shim it for more power, aside from what we just did by rotating the brass nut here counterclockwise, you want to add maybe a little bit more or take some away. But anyway, there's one little pin you have to drift out right here. It's at the top. Just place your punch right on the tip of it. Use your hammer, and just give it a little tap, okay? And that will come out the other end here, okay? Now there's not too much pressure on it, so you really don't have to worry. And you can pull it out, put that in a safe spot, and watch what happens here. Actually, to eject it, you could just kind of pull the lever back, and that will eject the spring. Now, as you can see, let me pull it out. There's the spring. There's nothing else. There's no O-ring, or you can hear the hammer moving back and forth. Here's your spring, and here are the shims. So I have added 2 washers. These were just washers I had lying around. Right there, they fit perfectly, and that's how you create more tension or more preload on your spring. So these were the 3 that were already there. I added these 2, and these are just regular washers. I don't know the inner diameter, but you can measure it. But the thickness of these are 0.05, so it's basically 2 of them, 1/10 of an inch. That is what gave me the increased power. So more preload tension, and a 1/2 a turn on the brass regulator counterclockwise gave me a lot more power. I'm going to show you how to take the trigger apart. This back screw here behind the trigger is the one that actually touches on the first sear or pivot point that then touches on the sear, which is touching the hammer, okay? And I'm going to take that apart and show you. The middle one adjusts the spring. There's a spring underneath this middle screw. So as you tighten down on it, it makes it less sensitive. So if you want a lighter trigger, you'll bring it up, heavier down. This front trigger is just the beginning of the first stage. Like I said, that first trigger right here where I'm pointing does nothing because it's too short. Let me show you how to take it apart. Now it's very easy. So very important. Let's see, you can see me there. Okay, so there's a pin here, there's a pin here, and there's 3 pins. Do not remove these pins yet. These 2 pins in the back are holding on to the 2 sears, the first and the second stage, or not stage, but you know, they're 2 pivot points. So don't remove these 2. This is the first thing you want to do. The way to remove this plastic trigger component is there's no screw. You start by removing this first pin in the front. This is the front of the trigger, and what's that's going to do is hold on to the trigger because there's a spring underneath. It's going to come, and you can feel it as you're punching through, drifting out the pin. You'll feel, you know, this tension on it. All right, let's tap out. This is the first spring pin. Excuse me. This is the first pin right in the front. Gently tap it out. Hold your trigger. okay? I think you can see this, back it up. Hold your trigger, because this is going to let the spring loose. Again, I'm using a punch, a very fine punch. Hold the trigger down. There's the pin. Get ready. Here is the spring and its component. Okay, the spring is down there. There's a washer right here. There's a washer on the middle nut. This is the sensitive. This is how sensitive your trigger is going to be. Okay, and the spring is in there. Let's remove that. I think you can see that. So that goes, let's put it on there. That goes like that and goes in, okay? So be careful, hold that spring, hold this washer, and put them aside. This screw back here is what holds the stock in place. It also holds the back part of the plastic trigger in place. I'm just removing that. I put it there just to show you that's where that went. Remember, this is your spring, so we can punch that out as well. Your hammer spring. We'll do that just so you can see. Knock that out. Again, hold that to the side. Don't lose any of your pins. Open your, let's put the spring aside. There is a 2mm nut in the front, or screw here. Just stick the Allen key that came with your, with your gun, counterclockwise. Just remove that. Okay, and off it comes. Now, as you can see from the side here, everything is still attached. There's a pin holding the bottom sear, and there's a pin holding this top sear with a spring right here, okay? So you really want to be careful not to pull it apart. So what you can do, take your punch again, put it back together momentarily. Just lift that sear. It goes in only one way. Basically, when this is apart, the way it is now, the way you see it in the camera, you kind of have to, so start from the back, push down, let's see, start from the back, push down, and slide. And then it'll get in place. Then you can put that first nut back when you're putting it back together. But let's punch out that pin. Okay, first we'll punch out the top pin. Actually, you know what? We'll punch out the bottom pin. Okay, it's very loose because I already took it out. Now, the whole thing will lift away. There's just a slot, is how it fits into this groove here. There are two sears, one that touches the trigger and the other that touches the actual hammer, okay? So I'll pull that out. Let's punch that out so you can see what that looks like. Let's grab it, slide that pin out, put it on the side. Here it comes, okay? And that is your two sears held together by a spring. This part is what catches the hammer, okay? And that is very fine. This is really the thinnest sear I've ever, it looks very well made, and there are sharp edges. This can be probably modified to create a better sear. You can sand it a little bit, buff it, polish it. And that rests here. Basically what happens is it catches, and you see how it's touching right there? I don't know if this is, I think this might, but I'm thinking this is the point at which it touches. And when you press the trigger, it pushes forward and allows the hammer to slide forward. So really simple, that's all it is. It's all connected. And that's really all there is to the trigger. On the trigger itself, you have this screw, which is the screw that presses against this part right here, the sear, the first part of the sear, which is, this is the pivot point. This point is resting against this point here, these 2 points. And then this point on the bottom, where I'm pointing right now, is the point where it's holding the hammer back. So when you press down, when you press the trigger, this point touches this point touches this point, and then this point here touches the hammer and releases it. So another thing I've noticed is that this could be a little longer, this back screw. So both screws are a bit short. I don't know if that's just an oversight or just careless manufacturing. So I'm going to get 2 longer screws. And the reason you want them longer, it'll give you a finer trigger. So the two end are how much pull you have pull in the first stage, pull in the second stage. And then here in the middle, this adjusts how heavy the trigger is based on the spring. If you push it down, there's more tension on the spring, you have a heavier trigger. Go the reverse way, you have a lighter trigger. So, hope that helps.